The words hit me like a physical blow. Not because they were true. They absolutely weren't. But because they were delivered in my own home, in front of my closest friends, by a man who thought he was untouchable. She really downgraded when she married you. That's what my wife's little brother, Jake, whispered across the dinner table with a smug, condescending smile. And in that moment, something inside me didn't just snap, it shattered. I realized I had let this parasitic, entitled man walk all over me, disrespect my marriage, and insult my character for the last time. This wasn't just about a stupid insult. This was about finally drawing a line in the sand and showing him and my entire skeptical family that my house, my rules, my life, what happened next. He learned exactly why you don't call a man a downgrade in his own castle. If you've ever felt that sting of being disrespected, underestimated, or powerless in a situation you absolutely controlled, then you know this feeling. You know that deep, burning craving for justice, the validation that only comes when you stand up and say enough is enough. This is the ultimate story of enforcing a boundary and kicking entitlement to the curb. If you're ready for that sweet, sweet payoff, smash the like button. Subscribe for more satisfying revenge stories. And let's dive into how my wife's brother finally got what he deserved. My name is Mark, I'm 33, and I've been married to my incredible wife, Sarah, for 4 years. She's the light of my life. Our marriage is strong. Our home is a sanctuary, or at least it was until her 27-year-old brother, Jake, rolled back into town. You know the type. The perpetually gifted guy who peaked in high school, believes he's a misunderstood genius, and blames the entire world for his own lack of effort. Jake is a self-proclaimed philosopher who has never held a job for more than 6 months. He doesn't work. He's consulting. He's not unemployed. He's between ventures. He's the human equivalent of an emotional debt that my wife and her family have been carrying for years. A couple of weeks ago, Sarah got the call. Jake was in a bind, needed a place to crash for a few days while he lined up this incredible new whatever. Sarah, bless her kind heart, looked at me with those sad puppy dog eyes. I wasn't thrilled. I saw the train coming down the track, but for Sarah, I made the call. Fine. A few days. Temporary. And he absolutely respects our space. That was the one non-negotiable condition. That boundary lasted about 12 hours. The moment he walked the door, he acted like he was checking into a free, all-inclusive luxury suite run by the hired help, which, in his mind, was me. The little thing started immediately, a slow drip of disrespect that had my jaw permanently clenched. He'd leave a mountain of greasy dishes in the sink, assuming they'd magically vanish. He'd blast some terrible, obscure indie rock at 7 a.m. while I was trying to get ready for work. These were minor irritations, but the pattern was what was so infuriating. He had zero regard for our lives. I tried to keep my cool. Every morning, I'd silently wash his abandoned coffee cup. Every night, I'd take a deep breath and gently remind him, "Hey, Jake, please put your headphones on after 10. I was swallowing my frustration, telling myself, it's just temporary. Do it for Sarah. But the disrespect began to escalate from messy habits to outright theft. Not money, but my things. First, it was my high-powered drill and toolkit, borrowed, without a word, to fix some non-existent project in his room. I found it caked in mud, left on the porch. Then, my heavy-duty phone charger disappeared, only for me to find it coiled up under his pillow. The final straw in the small-scale war came one freezing morning when I reached into the hall closet for my favorite, very expensive Gore-Tex winter jacket. It was gone. I felt a red, hot spike of anger go right up my spine. This wasn't borrowing. This was an active choice to treat me and my possessions with utter contempt, believing I was too much of a pushover to say anything. I walked into his room. He was sitting there, wearing my jacket, playing a video game. I didn't yell. I didn't even raise my voice. I just stood in the doorway, and the silence was deafening. I said, "Jake, take my jacket off. Now." He replied, "Chill out, Mark. I was just cold. I'll get it back to you." I responded, "No, you won't. You will take it off, apologize, and remember that nothing in this house that isn't yours is for your use. This isn't a free-for-all." He finally took it off, a sneer plastered on his face. The tension was thick enough to chew. He knew I was done playing, but he still didn't respect me. He just saw me as a temporary obstacle. The true breaking point came a few days later. We had invited a few of our closest friends over for a nice dinner party. This was our evening, our tradition, a moment of adult normalcy. We didn't invite Jake. But, of course, the Prince of Entitlement couldn't stand the idea of missing out on free food and an audience. He strolled out of his room, messy hair, sweatpants, and a self-satisfied grin, pulling up a chair and making himself the center of attention. I shot Sarah a look, and she gave me that pleading, "Just ignore him, look." We talked about work, about our vacation plans, about the new car I was considering. Everything was fine until Jake decided it was time to put on his expert critic hat. He interrupted me mid-sentence, leaned back, and delivered the first blow, a sneer hidden behind a faux chuckle. He announced, "Honestly, Mark, you're lucky Sarah didn't go for someone with a real career. You know, someone who actually makes decisions, not just takes orders." A wave of awkward silence washed over the table, the kind of silence that makes your ears ring. I felt the blood rush to my face. My hands, resting on the table, instantly curled into tight fists. I tried one last time to save the night, one last plea for respect. I told him, "That's enough, Jake. Knock it off. We're having a nice evening. You're being rude." He didn't blink. He just laughed, a deep, booming, ugly laugh. "Relax, man. I'm just being honest. She really downgraded when she married you. Everyone thinks it. Everyone thinks it." That phrase echoed in my skull. It wasn't just an insult. It was a character assassination delivered in front of the people whose respect I cared about. It wasn't just disrespecting me. It was disrespecting our marriage. In that moment, the years of silent swallowing, the months of cleaning up his messes, the weeks of my patience being systematically dismantled, it all collapsed. The anger I had held and became a cold, clear, unwavering resolve. I stood up. I didn't have to yell. I didn't have to throw a punch. The power of my quiet certainty was the only weapon I needed. I looked at him and said, "Get up, go to your room. Pack your stuff. You're leaving tonight." Jake's smirk vanished. He was genuinely stunned. He sputtered, "Are you serious? You're overreacting. You're just proving how insecure you are, Mark." I replied, "No, Jake. I'm proving how secure I am in my own home. I told you the condition for staying here. Respect our space. You haven't respected our property, our rules, or me. This is my house. You don't get to stand in it and insult the man who pays a mortgage. The temporary stay is over. Go." Sarah jumped up, trying to play peacemaker. "Mark, please. Can't we just talk about this later? Don't make a scene." I looked her straight in the eye, my voice firm. "No, Sarah. I will not tolerate this disrespect from anyone, especially not under my own roof. I've been clear. My boundary is set." The guests watched in silence. My heart was pounding a triumphant rhythm against my ribs. I stood my ground, arms crossed, watching Jake scramble, the look of utter shock and humiliation on his face. The entitled little prince being banished from his free kingdom was the sweetest, most satisfying feeling of validation I have ever experienced. He slunk away, muttering, and was gone before midnight. The immediate silence after he left was palpable, but the war wasn't over. Now, Sarah's upset. She feels I embarrassed him and made things more dramatic than they needed to be. She thinks I should have just waited a few more days. And of course, the fly monkeys came out, her parents, texting me to say that families should stick together and that I need to apologize. Apologize? For enforcing a boundary? For defending myself and my marriage? Absolutely not. My perspective is crystal clear, and I'm sharing it with you now, because I know so many of you have been here. I didn't kick out family. I kicked out a parasite who actively tried to disrespect, humiliate, and diminish me. I set a boundary, and when it was crossed in the most egregious way possible, I enforced the consequences. That wasn't drama. That was self-respect. And if my wife and her parents can't see that, then maybe they're just as enabling as I feared. But for the first time in weeks, I slept soundly, because justice in my house had been served. The biggest lesson here? Entitled people rely on your silence. They thrive when you're afraid to set a boundary. True strength isn't about yelling or fighting. It's about calmly stating your rules and having the courage to enforce them, even when your own family tries to tell you you're wrong. Never apologize for demanding respect in your own life. If this story of boundary setting and ultimate satisfaction gave you the chills, smash that like button and tell us in the comments below. Have you ever had to kick out an entitled family member? What was their reaction? And as always, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss the next deeply satisfying dose of Reddit revenge. Until next time, stay strong and protect your peace.